Local stories, unfiltered access, the true pulse of our community. Welcome to the Trusted Local Podcast.
Yes, and welcome to the Trusted Local Podcast. My name is Scott. Thanks for joining us here today on our very, very first episode of the Trusted Local Podcast. Where do I want to start? Let's start with the local pulse. The idea here is let's talk about a couple of different topics, stories that are going on around Central PA and beyond, things that are just fun and engaging, and positives for our community. And the first thing I want to start out with is the Hollidaysburg Little League 12U is starting the state tournament. Now, this is 12U is what would go on to Williamsport for the Little League World Series. So they won their district, they won their section, and now they're on to states. 11U is actually still in it as well. They're at the state level up in Selinsgrove, and that's going on right now. But 12U is up in Pittston, which I believe is the Scranton area. But that tournament starts on Monday. And so it has been a lot of fun. We know a lot of the kids on this team, and it's been a lot of fun just watching them. And they're a super, super talented team. And, you know, we were talking earlier about how just 4 years ago, Hollidaysburg sent a team to the Little League World Series and represented our area really, really well. And then last year, I believe it was last year, we had West Suburban Softball that went in and won the whole thing, which was so exciting. It's just great to see our area represented well. And it's great to see kids that can be proud of where they come from and in the areas that they represent. And so I would just encourage you to support the Little League team. You can follow them. Go to the Hollidaysburg Area Summer League Baseball Facebook page. They have a ton of different updates going on there. So you can follow along the team and cheer them on as they start, like I said, the state tournament on Monday. If they win the state tournament, then I believe they go to regionals, which is up in Bristol, Connecticut. If they win that, they come back to Pennsylvania, to Williamsport, for the Little League World Series. So that's story number one. Story number two is Parkway East. If you're someone that has to travel to Pittsburgh, the Parkway being closed is a nightmare. All of the different, you could go 422 to 28 and go in that way. You could go Turnpike and go up, I guess into Cranberry or get off, somewhere on the other side of the city. But it's been just, we've been trying to avoid Pittsburgh as much as possible, but we have to go out here, next week anyways. But it is opening. So they replaced the tunnel. If you're not familiar, they replaced the bridge right before the Squirrel Hill Tunnel, and they're expecting it to be open next week, which is awesome. And it's ahead of schedule. So just kudos to everyone working on that project. I am sure that was not, the easiest thing in the world. And so to have it done ahead of schedule, that's awesome. Finally, our third story, starting tomorrow, Saturday, July 25th, Ebensburg is putting on the Ebensburg Homecoming event. Now, my wife and I, we lived in Ebensburg for quite a few years. I was actually raised in Ebensburg, and we loved going to the homecoming. It's a great, great weekend, and I wanted to show you this is just the schedule of events for that day. The Ebensburg Main Street Partnership puts this on, and they do such a good job. While we lived in Ebensburg, I served on the board of the Main Street Partnership for a couple of years, and these people truly want to see Ebensburg thrive. And so it's just a great group of people that help to put on this event, and not to mention all the other businesses and volunteers that help to make this happen. But as you can see, all day, community yard sale all throughout Ebensburg. And then they have indoor raffles, a flea market, a book sale. Zumba is going on. There's a 5 and 15K that goes on the Ghost Town Trail. A kids fishing derby down at the lake, a farmer's market, indoor yard sale, free tennis clinics, hot, gentle yoga, I don't know what that is, but it sounds like if that's something that you're into, that would be great. $5 just to walk in. There's a PTO fundraiser, Rose on the patio. That is at Poron Center. If you haven't been to Poron Center, great place to go. A ceramic tree workshop, a fun factory, and then a backpack giveaway while supplies last. That's down at Lake Rowena. And then starting at 4 o'clock, there are food trucks that are going to be down at the lake. Lizzie's Wagon, Wood-Fired Nomad, Bonus Pizza, Wingnuts Grill is going to be there. And then there is live music by Wanderlost. And then finally, fireworks on the lake. So definitely get down there and check out Ebensburg Homecoming. Again, that is tomorrow, July 25th. And that brings us to our sponsor for today's program, and it is Dotson Electric. Now, Dotson Electric, they were the first company to join Trusted Local as a Trusted Local partner, and they are the authority for electricians, our electrician category in Cambria County, and they carry so much experience. They're fully licensed, and they did a lot of work on our house whenever we lived in Ebensburg, and Jim and his team, they just do a phenomenal job. So if you are in need of electrical services and you are in the Cambria County area, call Dotson Electric. You can get a hold of them by going to Trusted Local. You can click on their profile. They're right on on Lakeview Drive, which is just up from the lake. Or you can visit them on their website, DotsonElectricPA.com. We'll be right back after this very brief commercial break. All right, so the other thing that I wanted to talk about in this episode is, as someone who has been in marketing for 20 years now, and that makes me feel old, but I mean, it is what it is. Every time, we go through a town, my wife and I love to see the different types of local businesses that are there. And, what makes a downtown thrive? What develops a culture there that people want to go to? Initially, whenever I think of, a downtown area that has, excitement in it, you think of like Swickley outside of Pittsburgh. You think of Shadyside because they have these little boutiques, they have the eateries, they have a lot of the different places that you can't find anywhere else. And so when we go and we see, businesses that we don't have here in the Altoona, Hollidaysburg, Duncansville area, we love to see them, and we love to kind of explore how they set their business up and what they offer, and how they treat customers, like all that kind of, like, just that experience. And if you've noticed, whenever you're going through our towns, there's a lot of empty and boarded up buildings. And I am in no way trying to start a war on, the political side of things, of, how boroughs and municipalities run themselves. But my question is simply this: what needs to happen in order for the businesses that can develop culture, that can develop a uniqueness for a town? What kinds of businesses need to move into these buildings? What would need to happen for a business to want to come into these towns? Because I think it's getting worse as the outskirts of downtowns, the highway areas get more developed. We're seeing downtowns struggle, and we've been seeing this for years. I mean, this is not necessarily a new thing. Businesses come in, businesses go. What would you like to see? Do we need better restaurants or different restaurants? Do we need higher end clothing, lower, more affordable clothing? What do we need right now? I'd be interested to hear what you think. Comment on this video. What kinds of businesses need to move in? Just my mind thinks, we spent some time down, oh geez, I forget where we even were, but down in Granbury, Texas. And you go to the Granbury Square, and it's a town the size, I don't know, a little bit bigger than Hollidaysburg, maybe 12,000 people at this point. And in the square, it's full. And, they have a couple different coffee shops, they have clothing, they have gift shops, ice cream shops, a lot of different places that you have to go and buy something. And, it does really well for them. They have a movie theater in their downtown. Would that work where we are? I don't know. But I'm just trying to figure out what is it that needs to happen, because I don't want to see our downtowns struggle. I want to see small business owners. I want to see people who have always dreamed of starting a business to be able to say, yes, I can rent this place. Obviously, rents need to be affordable and all that. And that's a different argument, which maybe we'll tackle someday. But, I just want to hear from you. What would you like to see come downtown in your town? So I was reading some comments on social media, because the Rite Aid in Crescent went out of business, obviously. And, people are wondering what's going to move in there. And, people are saying, well, Giant Eagle bought it, and now Kroger bought Giant Eagle. And so is it going to be another grocery store? Is it going to just be a Giant Eagle pharmacy? Is it going to be a Walmart neighborhood store? And my thought is like, wouldn't it be great if a local business went in there? I think that would be awesome. What people from Crescent, if you're watching this, what would you like to see in the Rite Aid building? Again, yeah, a big chain could come in, and do more of the same. That's not going to build culture. That's not going to build, any kind of heritage for our area. If everything is the same, if we all have our Walmart and our McDonald's and our Starbucks and, a 7 Brew just opened here in Altoona, if it's all the same, then it's all the same. There's no uniqueness. There's no reason to make a trip to Altoona when it's the same thing in Johnstown or the same thing in State College. I want to see unique small businesses. So comment below. What town are you in, and what would you like to see? And we'll share some of those in our next episode next week. So what is Trusted Local? Trusted Local, I've been rebuilding Trusted Local now for the past year or so. And this is what we want to do. We want to provide, at the core, we want to promote local businesses. We want Trusted Local to be a hub where people can come in, find the best local businesses that their county has to offer for the category that they are looking for. Whether that's, a sit-down place to eat, whether that's a gift shop, whether that is an electrician, a plumber, a doctor, or a mechanic. We want you to know that you can come to trustedlocal.co and find a legitimate, well-respected business on our platform. So if you are a business owner and that sounds like your business, I would love to talk to you and see about getting you on Trusted Local. So that's all we have time for today. I really appreciate it if you stuck around this long. But go out, support a local business this weekend, and we'll see you next week. This is the Trusted Local Podcast.